To use a subscription-based blogging platform, Medium, for blogging. So, when it comes to blogging, there are many different ways this can go. When we usually talk about blogging, what we mean is that we have a text, and then within the text, there may be also some pictures, maybe also some links, maybe also an embedded video. But most of the time, we think about blogging as kind of a book, but on the web and shorter, like a newspaper. It's basically a newspaper, but not like a newspaper on every single topic, but much more a newspaper about one specific topic. Now, a blog basically is a newspaper in today's age, if you think about it. I mean, it's just like a magazine about sports, it's a magazine about fitness, it's a magazine about tech. Now, of course, you could also do kind of microblogging, which would be posting stuff like images on Instagram and actually writing along with the pictures or the videos about your life. I mean, just writing is basically blogging, I guess. The main thing is that blogging is visually based, so therefore it should be consumed as something to be read. Video is also visual based, but it has additionally audio. So therefore, the visual based thing about blogging is also that we don't really control how long it takes the reader to read something. That's something that is very nice about reading, I guess. We can take our time. Whereas with a video or with audio, of course we can speed up and slow down something, theoretically. But most of these platforms, of course, have the watching time fixed. But the thing with reading is, the watching time isn't fixed. There is no fixed time. So now, blogging is basically the thing we already know, the thing I just described. It's basically writing text, also images, and inserting links into both of it. And then maybe also trying to make a little bit of money, but of course also trying to gain a little bit of following, or at least get someone to read the stuff you write. Of course, you could also blog about yourself, but then we wouldn't call it a blog. We would much more call it a notebook or a journal. Now, what is Medium? The thing is, there are two ways this can go when it comes to essentially putting your blog into practice. The first way is that we actually take something that already exists, a platform that already exists, and we just use the platform. I mean, we kind of do with everything we do, because we just use the things that already exist. But when it comes to blogging, of course, you could use Facebook and set up a Facebook page and then just write and insert images, and everything you do is basically already meant to be done. The other route you could go is you could try to do basically the freestyle route. You could try to reserve a domain, you could set up your own WordPress blog or another blog, or you could also do a static page, but of course this is not really efficient, because the thing you actually want to do when blogging is not getting good in building websites, but getting good in blogging. Of course, eventually you could have a website, and if you want to get into it, that's something you should just add to the tasks you're already doing, but it's not something that should replace the blogging time in your calendar if you try to do blogging. Now, taking one of these platforms that already exists, we now take a look at all of these. You could do blogging on Patreon. Patreon is basically something where people can donate, and you could just write and say, whoever donates to this already gives me money, and I just write, and the people get access, so basically exclusive access to the content. What you also could do is you go on Facebook and create a page. We already did this. You could also do an Instagram page, so basically a microblog. The thing is, then kind of the image is the primary thing, and the text is just something that's additional. So therefore, it's not really like real blogging, because real blogging is like, here's a title and here's a text. Now, there are also lots of other platforms like Tumblr. Tumblr is basically, Tumblr is basically like this, so this is the slogan of Tumblr. I mean, blogging is really difficult, and therefore we wanted to make it very easy for you, and therefore everything you have to do is put in your email and maybe your blog's name, and then you have your blog. You can choose a design, and then you can just start typing, linking stuff, and we take care of the rest. This is what Tumblr is about. It's also like Facebook in a way. Therefore, you could just start your blog on Tumblr, you could just start your blog on Facebook, you could just start your blog on any of these other platforms that are out there. maybe also YouTube, but YouTube is primarily, at least, a video platform, and you only get these posting features if you have a certain amount of followers, I guess. Now, still considering that you don't want to go the route of actually talking to camera and producing videos, what you now could do is you use one of these embedded platforms, but instead of Facebook, Tumblr, or something else, I mean, Pinterest is also there, but it's also mostly about the images, and mostly about images with lists, so images that also transfer additional information, kind of. So now, you use one of these embedded platforms, not embedded, but platforms that are already out there and that are just meant for blogging. And one of these platforms is Medium. Now, the special thing about Medium is this. There are, just like a newspaper, just like in a newspaper, there are subscribers who pay for Medium. And those who pay for Medium can get unlimited access to all the content that's out there. And everybody else is limited to, like, a few blog posts per month. Now, why is this so huge? Because otherwise, you would have to do the monetization entirely on your own. You would have to install Google AdSense, for example. You would have to install other things. You could also search shirts about your blog. Maybe the shirt thing doesn't really work. Maybe it does. I mean, who knows? But the thing is, Medium takes care of all of this, but additionally also the monetization. When you think about Facebook, Facebook also kind of additionally, I mean, you can now do also paid Facebook events, for example, and stuff like this. But it's not so much about the blogging itself. Medium is about the blogging itself. It's basically a platform where you just write and insert images. You can take the images off free stock websites like Unsplash. You can come up with the text maybe on your own, or you just research something and put something together. I mean, just like language, I guess. And then you just go publish. What Medium allows you to do is you can actually publish to publications. So this means it's basically a newspaper company that has different magazines, and you can like be, oh yeah, I want to write for this magazine, and then you kind of write an article, and you're like, here is an article that could fit in your magazine, and then the person who owns the magazine, who probably is also someone like you, maybe just a little more advanced, and therefore has a magazine, is like, yeah, we just take it. And then the benefit for you is that you have more reach, because the magazine probably already has followers, whereas you, whenever starting out, haven't, let's face it. And therefore, it's kind of a benefit for both. The magazines, of course, earn money by, I mean, like traditional magazines, by displaying ads on their blogs. Sometimes these magazines also have their own self-hosted pages, because they actually took the step and went away from Medium, but often they just have the same content basically on their pages and on Medium. So now, you can also set up one of these magazines. These are called sites, basically. I just look it up right now because I don't want to say the wrong information. I actually just remembered they are called publications, just like a publication. So you could create different publications, but you as the writer, you will always stay the same unless you do different accounts. So you could set up an account for writing about sports. The problem with setting up different accounts is kind of the same as with Facebook, but not so huge as with Facebook. With Facebook, basically everything is kind of made for being a person on Facebook. I mean, if a magazine, for example, had friends on Facebook, it wouldn't really make sense. The friends on Facebook are actually real people. And on Medium, it's kind of the same thing, I guess, but you are just your writer identity. I mean, you could use any name whatsoever. You could also use your real name. You could also come up with a fake name. It doesn't really matter, I guess. Only when it comes to actually paying out the stuff and also the legal information. Because if you get paid, I mean, they have to know if you are a company, if you are a person that is basically a, how do you call it? A freelancer. And therefore, I mean, it's when it comes to taxes, it's different, I guess. So what you could do is you could set up different publications, but you have to know that with every article you post in these different publications, your account is basically linked. It's like you posted this in this publication, and also you posted this in your own publication, but you posted this as your account. So the only way to kind of And you also can do only 5 or 7 or 8 publications, and then it's limited. Now, if you now publish something in your own publication or in another publication, or you just publish it and then you have like your profile, you write a profile and it just gets published there. You also can link this profile. Now, what happens is that just like on Facebook, just like on YouTube, just like on any other of these platforms, whenever they get content from someone that uploads content, they test the content. So they are like, here are 10 people that are likely to like this because they are interested in tech or interested in this. And if your article is actually about tech, they are like, here, just read this. And then Medium is like, yeah, okay, he read it for like 1 second and decided to do it also for 1 second. Therefore, yeah, it could be something. Of course, that's not the conclusion, but much more if someone takes all the time and then reads all the content and maybe even writes a comment, then that's basically a very positive sign. I mean, it's just like in the real world, I guess. If you go around and try to tell people about something and nobody listens, then chances are the thing you are telling the other people about is not interesting, or you just look not interesting, or all the people have to do something else. I mean, it depends, of course, but I mean, somehow you have to determine if something is worth reading or showing to people. And Medium doesn't want that people actually leave Medium because there's only bad content on there and they get suggested bad content all the time. Therefore, Medium is also interested in high quality content that is actually something people would read. Now, in the end, people will read your things, and then you have like so many views, so many impressions. So views is more basically impressions, I guess. You also have, I think, the reading time. I didn't take a look recently because I kind of plan to do it new, because I want to set up different accounts instead of having one account. Because, as I already said, with the one account, there's always your normal name, your writer's name. Now, what you could do is eventually, I mean, if you want to do your own blog, it doesn't really matter, because you can just take the content off of Medium and then just post it on your own WordPress blog or your own domain. And therefore, what this enables you to do, what Medium enables you to do, is to get started and to view this not as a project that will only make money in the next 10 years, but it could make a few cents in the next days. If you already have like 5 or 10 articles, then you just post them. You can also schedule them, which is very nice, because, I mean, if you post 100 articles in like 10 minutes, then Medium is probably not like showing them to all people. But if you posted something every once in a while, then of course it's more likely that you actually will be shown to people. So now, as a conclusion, Medium makes it kind of very easy. It's built for someone like you who wants to start blogging and who may also be already into writing. Therefore, the easiest thing you now, or the one step you now have to do, is go onto Medium, register there, set up either your own publication or try to just publish on your own page or onto somebody else's magazine, or you make your own publication, as I already said, and then you just start writing, and you just start writing on Medium directly. A few additional things. I mean, this was already the conclusion, I guess. When it comes to writing, often we can't see our own mistakes when it comes to grammar, or not your grandma, but when it comes to grammar. Therefore, there is something called Grammarly, which is a Chrome plugin and a browser plugin, and it just checks your mistakes. So it's basically a spell checker that also checks for grammar. Now, whenever Grandpa is not here, this is basically what you could do. Of course, many blog now in English nowadays. Here is the final conclusion that I made for myself when it comes to blogging in my native language, which is German, or in English. The thing is, I could blog in German, and I would be far better in German. But for the future, I mean, do I want to blog in German in the future? I guess it doesn't really make sense. Here is why. Because, I mean, German as a language is not really exploding right now, and it won't be in the future. And there are only like 100 million people speaking German on this planet. But when it comes to English, there are basically more and more people speaking English, and there are basically 10 times, 100 times the audience, because many also speak English as a second language. Therefore, I mean, if you search for something on the internet, if you just search for it in English, it's just much more likely that you get results, because much more people speak English. Therefore, it's just a higher chance. Therefore, eventually everybody will be like, I guess I switch to English, because then I can just search more things, then I can just know more things, then I can just get and listen to and watch more free content on the internet. And therefore, blogging in English is kind of, I think, the way to go. Well, that's it, I guess. That's how to get started with blogging on Medium.